What's up guys, it's Ralph Misha and welcome to a different kind of video today. Today I decided that I wanted to talk about one of the decks that is coming out of the newest set, which is Sword and Shield Darkness Ablaze, as you can see on the screen. The deck that I want to talk about today is Mad Party. It's a deck that I am really excited about. I've done a bit of testing with and I think it's going to be a really fun deck to play. It has similarities in terms of engine to two previous decks, which I'm going to be talking about before we move on to what Mad Party is actually about. So let's jump into it and let's look at the first deck that we will be talking about. So the first deck is Night March. It's one of the first decks that I actually learned how to play when I started to play the TCG back in August 2016, which was a weird time because it was coming up to rotation, so Night March was just about to leave us. But Night March came out in XY Phantom Forces, and its main attackers, as you can see on the graphic, were Joltik and Pumpkaboo, both with the Night March attack. Now, Night March is an attack that does 20 damage times the number of Pokemon in your discard pile that have the Night March attack. So the aim of this deck is to get as many Pokemon in your discard pile with the Night March attack to hit huge numbers. So Night Marchers that came out were Joltik, Pumpkaboo and also Lampent. Now obviously Lampent you don't attack with. It's mainly there just to throw into the discard. And in order to get them into the discard, you would use cards like Battle Compressor, so you could search out the Lampent straight from the deck and put them straight into the discard. And Professor Sycamore, if you had any of them in your hand, just discard your hand, draw 7. Really powerful supporter, really good supporter, just to help you get anything you needed actually back then, particularly as we had stuff like Versus Seeker, into the discard so that they were easier to find. We also used cards like Dimension Valley, which allowed you to attack with Pumpkaboo for just a double colourless energy, which is the same attack cost as Joltik. So you would play 4 double colourless energy. You'd also play 4 special charge, which I don't have on here because I'm an idiot. But special charge would came out in Steam Siege, it would allow you to shuffle those special energies back into your deck, 2 of them, so that you had recyclable energies, which you don't normally have with special energies. Another card to note here, which I have missed out on the graphic, is a card that came out in Sun and Moon Burning Shadows, which was Marshadow GX, which in Expanded made this deck really cool because it meant you could hit for 3 different weaknesses. You could hit for Lightning weakness, Psychic weakness and Fighting weakness, because Marshadow GX was a fighting type Pokemon, and it meant that you could hit higher numbers as well because Marshadow GX copies the attacks of basic Pokemon in the discard pile. So it would copy Night March from Joltik for the double colourless, so you could have Marshadow there with a double colourless on energy on it, and if you had all 12 of your Night Marchers in the discard, you could hit for 240 damage, not including weakness. Including weakness, you could hit for a maximum of 480 damage, and then if you add on stuff like Muscle Band, you can be hitting for some seriously high numbers. Muscle Band or Choice Band, you were hitting for 260 or 270, which was really cool. So fast forward to the Sun and Moon era, and we were given Lost March. Night March moved into Expanded. Lost March came to us in Lost Thunder, and Lost March comprised of these Pokemon that you can see on the screen. We have the main Pokemon, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, and we have a couple of support Pokemon as well. So the main Pokemon, your main attacker for the deck, was Jumpluff. For his single grass energy, did the Lost March attack. Now Lost March was an attack that, very similar to Night March, did 20 times damage, but it did 20 times the amount of Pokemon, except for Prism Star Pokemon, that were in your Lost Zone. Now, your Lost Zone is a little bit harder to get Pokemon into, with the exception of Prism Stars. Any Prism Star card goes to the Lost Zone when it's discarded. Which is why they didn't count, because they were easier to get into the Lost Zone. So we'll talk about ways to get things into the Lost Zone in a minute, but the single grass energy was really good because you could use Netball to get not only your Hoppip, but to get your Jumpluff the grass energy that you needed as well, which was really nice. And speaking of the previous stages, Skiploom was actually the most important part of this evolution line. Normally you would play things like Rare Candy to skip the middle evolution, but in this deck you played a 4-4-4 line, mainly because you really wanted that Skiploom to help you get Pokemon into the Lost Zone. So Skiploom's ability, Floral Path to the Sky, reads, once during your turn before you attack, you may search your deck for a Jumpluff, put this Pokemon and all cards attached to it into the Lost Zone and put Jumpluff in its place, then shuffle your deck. So in short, that means when you evolved into a Skiploom, you could search your deck at any point during your turn for a Jumpluff, put that Jumpluff in the place of the Skiploom, and the Skiploom and the Hoppip and any cards attached to it, which meant any grass energy, any tools, etc. Also went to the Lost Zone. So it helped you get 2 Pokemon into the Lost Zone, as well as getting your Jumpluff out, who has free retreat as well, I should add, to get your attacks rolling. So you would play a 4-4-4 line, which would help you get 8 Pokemon into the Lost Zone if you could get 4 Jumpluffs out. But Jumpluff wasn't your only attacker, very similar to Night March, where you had Joltik and Pumpkaboo. In this Lost March deck you have Jumpluff, Natu. So Natu, for a double colourless energy, also has the Lost March attack, which does the same thing. So again, you were hitting for 2 different weaknesses here. You had Grass weakness and Psychic weakness. Both of them have very small HP. I didn't point this out with Night March, but Night March, Joltik has 30 HP and Pumpkaboo has 60 HP. Similarly here, we've had a 10 HP boost to each of them. You've got Jumpluff has 70 HP and Natu has 40 HP. So very easy to knock out, but the aim of these decks is that your opponent takes 1 prize whilst you take 2. Minimum 2 prizes. In the current format, sometimes 3. So these were the main attackers. To help you get things into the Lost Zone, we ran Trumbeak, whose Mountain Pass ability, in short, you can read it if you want, but in short, it basically allows you to put Trumbeak from your hand into the Lost Zone, and if you do that, you can look at your opponent, the top card of your opponent's deck, and if it's a supporter card, you can Lost Zone that card. So it's a way of disrupting your opponent, as well as getting another Pokemon into the Lost Zone, which is really cool. So of course you ran 4 Trumbeaks. To help you search out your Pokemon, you ran 4 Nuzzy Gathering Emolgas. These had free retreat, which were really nice. So you would start one, you would Nuzzy Gathering, grab another one. You would run stuff like Pokemon Communication and stuff like that as well, so you could trade them back in to get Hoppips and things like that. But in short, it was a really easy way to help you find your Pokemon so that you could use Lost Blender to put them into the Lost Zone. So as well as having Skiploom and Trumbeak that put themselves, and well, with Skiploom put the Hoppip as well, into the Lost Zone, you ran 4 Lost Blenders, which was a item card that allowed you to put 2 cards from your hand into the Lost Zone and draw a card. So the aim with this was to put 2 Pokemon, usually Emolgas, maybe some Natus that you didn't want to use, or maybe even a Jumpluff that you had in your hand that you didn't have a way to get back into your deck. You would use Lost Blender to put them into the Lost Zone. So your damage ceiling with this deck was somewhat higher, but still as limited as Night March. It was higher because Lost Blender allowed you to get another 8 Pokemon that didn't have the Lost March attack into the discard. Funny side note, that Lost March doesn't specify that the Pokemon have to have the Lost March attack. It's just Pokemon, because getting them into the Lost Zone was harder. So energy wise, we would be using obviously Grass energy to fuel the Jumpluff, and of course we would have double colourless energy to use on Natu. Rarely would you run, I think Special Charge is actually rotated by the time that we got this, I can't really remember, but Netball would help you search out the Grass energies and the Hoppip, so it was an easy way to get the Grass energy into your hand. You never really, usually you didn't struggle to get these energies into your hand. So similar to Night March, where you had double colourless, but you also have a basic energy here as well. So that was Night March and Lost March. Now we move on to the newest deck from Darkness Ablaze that I'm really excited about, and that is the Mad Party deck. Now Mad Party is actually a little bit of backstory to Mad Party. So Mad Party is named after the Mad Hatter's Tea Party from Alice in Wonderland, and that's because the Pokemon that we have this attack do reference this. So, for example, we have, Pokemon-wise, we have Bunnelby with the Mad Party attack. And Bunnelby is a reference to the March Hare, I believe. It could also be a reference to the White Rabbit, I'm not sure. I'm not massively big on Alice in Wonderland, but I'm pretty sure it's a reference to the March Hare from Alice in Wonderland from the Mad Hatter's Tea Party. We have Poltegeist and Dedenne, who I believe are both a reference to the Dormouse. Dedenne being a reference to the Dormouse because Dedenne is an electric mouse Pokemon, and Poltegeist obviously because it is a teapot, so the Dormouse is in the teapot. And our final Pokemon with the Mad Party attack is Galarian Mr. Rhyme, who I shouldn't have to point out is definitely a reference to the Mad Hatter. So that's a little bit of the backstory on why Mad Party is called Mad Party. Instead of a March deck, it's a Mad Party deck because it's a Alice in Wonderland reference. So, talking a little bit about how to get these Mad Partiers into the discard, because it is very much the same as Night March. You want to get these Mad Party Pokemon into the discard because the two main people that you're attacking with are Bunnelby and Poltegeist. So we have in the current standard format, and when I say current standard format, I am referring to the Ultra Prism on format. However, the deck list at the end will be a post-rotation format, so that will be a team-up on deck list. But we use Quick Ball to help us search out our basic Pokemon, so it helps us search out the Bunnelby and the Dedenne, as well as other Pokemon in the deck, by discarding a card from our hand, so it also helps you get Pokemon into the discard pile. Professor's Research, which is exactly the same as Professor Sycamore. Annoyingly, they renamed it so we can't use our old Full Art Sycamores. But discard to hand draw 7 is a really good way to obviously get your Pokemon into the discard pile. We have another supporter that helps us do that as well, but I will talk a little bit about that in the deck list later on. We also have Dedenne GX, so there's a couple of Dedennes in here. Dedenne GX, discard your hand, draw 6 cards, so a non-supporter way of getting things into the discard, which is really nice. And then we also have Poltegeist's ability, T-Break. So once during your turn, you may discard a Pokemon with Mad Party attack from your hand and draw 2 cards. So as I said before, Bunnelby and Poltegeist are going to be your attackers because they both attack for 2 colourless energy. And we have in this format special energies that fulfill those costs, which I will talk about in a minute. But T-Break is an ability that stacks as well. So if you have 3 or 4 Poltegeists out, you can do this 3 or 4 times a turn, and it helps you to draw through your deck as well to find more Mad Partiers to discard as well. So energy wise, as I said, Bunnelby attacks for a double colourless, which we don't have double colourless anymore, but we have twin energy, which is almost identical, except for the fact that if it's attached to a V or a GX, it doesn't provide the 2 colourless energy. It only provides 1. So twin energy we are primarily going to use on Bunnelby. This is the energy that we want to be using on Bunnelby. We can use it on Poltegeist if we want to, but we mainly have triple acceleration energy for the Poltegeist, which is a energy that discards itself at the end of the turn, but it can only be attached to evolution Pokemon. So you want to save your twin energies for Bunnelby and use your triple acceleration energies for Poltegeist. So the reason this deck, by the way, is so fun to play is because if you go second, turn 1, you can usually knock out your opponent's Pokemon, and you can donk people really easily with this deck because you play so many ways to get things into the discard and so many ways to search your deck for what you want that it's just really fun. I've donked a couple of people a couple of times actually with this deck, so I really enjoy these kind of decks. They're really, really fun. So speaking of deck lists, this list, by the way, is almost identical to Andrew Mahone's list on Tricky Gym. I changed a card or 2 here or there just because I felt there were a couple of things that weren't addressed in his list that needed to be addressed. So we're going to start by looking at the Pokemon. Now, I think it's fairly safe to say in any deck where you need to get Pokemon into the discard or the Lost Zone like Lost March, you have to play 4 copies of that Pokemon. So we're playing 4 Bunnelby, 4 Dedenne, 4 Galarian Mr. Rhyme, and 4 Poltegeist, so that we've got 16 Pokemon with the Mad Party attack. Now, if you manage somehow to get, you ideally want to keep sort of 3 of them, maybe 4 of them to attack with. So say you get 12 into the discard pile, you're hitting for 240 damage. Annoyingly, Bunnelby doesn't hit for weakness because it is a colourless Pokemon, but Polteageist does, as it's a psychic type. Not a hugely relevant weakness to have in the current standard format, but usually you're trading 2 prizes for 1, or you're trading a 2-hit KO on a 3-prize Pokemon for 2 single-prize Pokemon. So usually the prize trade's in your favour with this deck anyway. So that's why we're running 4 copies of those Pokemon. I know it looks funny that we have 3 Sinistes, but the reason that there's only 3 instead of 4 is because we made space for the Duskull from Cosmic Eclipse, which is next to the Crobat V, which has the Spirit-Born Evolution ability, which allows you to discard 3 cards from your hand and search your deck for a Pokemon that evolves from Duskull. Now, the Pokemon that evolves from Duskull is irrelevant here, but discarding 3 cards from your hand with the ability of a Pokemon is really, really good. So that's why it's in there. I quite like it. I did think about taking it out and putting in a 4th Sinistea, but I actually quite like the Duskull, and I did use it quite a few times in testing as well, so that's why that's in there. We have 2 Dedenne GX, discard draw 6, which you can only do once per turn with the Dedenne GX, but it's a really good non-supporter way of getting Pokemon into the discard pile and drawing cards. Similarly, we have Crobat V, which is pretty much a reprint of Shaymin EX. It allows you to draw up to 6 cards if you play it onto your bench, but you can only do it once per turn. So you can essentially Dedenne GX, Crobat V, and Professor's Research in the same turn. So you can end up drawing 6, 6, and 7, so it's like 19 cards. Yeah, 6, 12. 8, yeah, 19 cards plus your draw for turn. You also have a Rangaroo as well with the Primate Wisdom ability, which allows you to put a card on top of your deck and switch it with your top deck. So basically, if you are going to Dead Change and you have a couple of those very, very important energies in your hand, it allows you to put one of those, any card that you want from your hand, back on top of the deck, and then you can draw another card. So that's our Pokemon lineup. Now we're going to have a look at the supporters, which is very simple. We have 4 Research, 4 Hapu, and 2 Boss's Orders. 4 Research, very self-explanatory. Discard your hand, draw 7. You absolutely need that. You need to power through your deck as quick as you can, really, to get as many into the discard to be hitting those big numbers. Boss's Order is very self-explanatory as well. You want to be able to pull up the Pokemon that you know you can knock out. So being able to have that with Boss's Orders as a direct, I want to knock out this Pokemon, is really nice. And the 4 Hapu, I love this card. I used to play it in my Mewtwo GX deck, which I absolutely loved. And it allows you to look at the top 6 cards of your deck and put 2 of them into your hand, discard the rest. So not only is it a really good way of discarding cards, but it's also a really good way of getting a couple of cards that you need into your hand. So you can Hapu and Dedenne in the same turn, and it's almost as good as a Professor's Research. So that's why we have the Hapus. Moving on to the item cards. Lots of Pokemon search here. 4 Quick Ball, 4 Great Ball, and 4 Evolution Incense. We're going ham on the Pokemon search. Quick Ball, as I already explained, discard a card from your hand, search your deck for a basic Pokemon. That searches literally everything except for Polteageist and Galarian Mr. Rhyme, which are covered by the Evolution Incense, which is just nice. You can Evolution Incense, grab a Galarian Mr. Rhyme, and then you can use T-Break to discard it. You can also use it to grab the Polteageist to evolve, and then you have your attacker. And Great Ball is just a really good all-around way of finding your Pokemon, because a lot of the time you kind of want to save your Quick Balls for maybe grabbing a Dedenne, or GX I mean, by the way, when I say Dedenne, or maybe grabbing that Crobat. So Great Ball just allows you to look at the top 7 cards of your deck and choose a Pokemon that you find there and put it into your hand. We also run 2 Ordinary Rod because late game you can struggle to find your attackers, so late game you may have had your full Bunnelby go down, you may have had a couple of Poltergeist go down, which is great because it increases your damage output, but it's also kind of frustrating because they're your attackers, you need them back. So we use Ordinary Rod to recycle our attackers. And finally, for the item roundout, we have Great Catcher. So we have 2 boss's orders in the supporters, which allow you to pull up any Pokemon that you want. Great Catcher I love because it's another way of getting some more of your Mad Party Pokemon into the discard, as well as pulling up a Pokemon that you know you can knock out. Usually it's a Dedenne GX. Sometimes it might be an Oricorio GX if it's against something like Blacephalon, but usually it's going to be for picking off your opponent's Dedennes. So that's why I love Great Catcher in this deck. I think Great Catcher should still be a one-of in every deck, even post-rotation. Moving on to the tools, we only run 1 tool card, and that's Air Balloon. We run 2 of them because it gives every single Pokemon in this deck free retreat. Specifically Oranguru, you'll probably find your opponent wants to pull up your Oranguru and lock it in the active, try and get you stuck there, because your energies you're not going to use to retreat. You really don't want to use them to retreat, because the aim of the deck is to get as many Pokemon into the discard as you can with Mad Party, attach a single energy, and then hit for stupid numbers. So having the Air Balloons allows you to retreat any Pokemon that your opponent may have pulled up into the active to try and stall you. It also allows you to retreat things that you started that you didn't necessarily want to start off with. So if you do happen to start Dedenne GX, Crobat, the baby Dedenne, etc., then you have a way to retreat them. Moving on to stadium cards now. Mahone's list didn't actually play a stadium, and I thought that needed to be changed because with the upcoming Eternatus VMAX deck, I think you need to have a counter to the Black Market Prism Star, just because that plays such a big role in the prize cards taken, particularly against this deck. So I've whacked in a Chaotic Swell here, just so that you can bounce that stadium, but also prevent them from putting down any other stadiums, which is quite nice. Which in Eternatus they're probably only running the Black Market. They may be running Dark City as well, but Chaotic Swell kind of just nullifies that, because you bounce their stadium with it, and then when they go to put down another stadium card, it gets bounced as well. And then moving on to the energy cost, as you can see, we have 4 twin energy and 4 triple acceleration energy. As I've already said, the triple acceleration energy is for Poltergeist and the twin energy is for Bunnelby, although it can be used for Poltergeist as well. So if you want to look at Andrew Mahone's original list, which I believe is only 1 card different, I will put the link to his video in the description below. But that's going to be it for this video. Very different to my usual stuff, not a pack opening and not a PTCGO video, mainly because this stuff is not available on PTCGO, so a lot of image copying and stuff was done here. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, of course, please be sure to leave a like. Subscribe if you're new here. Feel free to share this with your friend, and leave a comment in the comment section down below telling me what you thought about this video, if you would like to see any more videos of this type. If you don't want to see any more videos of this type at all, just pop a comment down below, say hi, something like that. I would be very much appreciated. I do enjoy reading the comments and seeing who's actually watching the videos. It may be 1 of you, maybe 10 of you, maybe none of you. But thank you very much. I appreciate your viewership. I will see you in the next video, guys. Peace.